Before starting the program, I have a question to the audience. Do you want the program to happen the conversation to happen in Tamil or in English? In English? Okay. That's the official view, but being incorrigible democracy. But being an incorrigible Democrat, I would like to take the opinion of the House before starting the program. Ambai, vanakkam. I want to congratulate you for 3 things, not just for one thing, but for 3 things. First thing is for the honor that is conferred on you yesterday. Second one is, in the recent book fair at Chennai, your publisher has posted a statement in the Facebook saying that your book, this Sivapu Karituran Pache Paravai, is the #1 bestseller and has sold 3,200 copies in a span of 10 days.
Actually, it has sold 3,200 in my publisher's shop. Not
yes,
it
may be more than that, but the lowest benchmark was that. And for the third thing, I know though you have been writing since you are 16, and if you count the years, it may be 60, but we all come to know you through your first book, which was published in 1976. So I count from there, and it is now 50 years now. So for the 50 long golden years, I also congratulate you. And I want to ask you a question. Yesterday, when the award was given, I posted your picture in the Facebook. And within a short span of time, less than 3-4 hours, I received numerous likes and comments, 150 plus likes and comments. Mine is a closed one, so you cannot expect more than that. But one poet come professor in Sri Lanka, Nufma, has commented that this award is long overdue for Ambai. I am glad at least now it is given. How do you respond for this honor that is conferred on you? You feel it is too late for you, or you didn't expect, or you are happy?
Only short stories. And I have written many varieties of short stories. I have written only short stories. And I don't think there was any time in these years that I thought that my name will be announced. So it came to me as quite a surprise. I didn't think that.
Not a shock, only a surprise.
Well, it was a shock in the sense that those in the panel, I was wondering whether they had really read me, but then that was only a cynical statement. But I was not shocked as much as I was, let's say, surprised.
Okay, and you have written a series of stories under the caption Journey. Payanam in the Perla in the Rear. So, how was your journey as a writer? You started much early, as I was telling you. How was your journey, and how do you feel about that journey? Are you happy with your journey? I know there were lots of ups and downs on that. You are admired as well as you are criticized. That much I know. So, but how you see that journey?
I think that when I began to write, and I was only 16 then, but I continued to write in that magazine. But I wrote my The first novel when I was 19, again, or what I think is an adult journal, but a literary kind of journal called Kalaimagal. And this Kalaimagal was the mother journal of this children's magazine I wrote in. And that won a prize. And it won the second prize. So the novel was all about the kind of girls beware of my generation, you know. You know, my generation grew up immediately after the independence. And our minds were full of nation, sacrifice, seva, service. And these were the things that occupied our mind. And we were all great Gandhians. We wanted to go and serve in a village. I think those were the ideas I also had at that time. So this novel that I wrote was all about platonic love. It was about a man who wanted to do service in a village, and he's already engaged to be married to his cousin. And there is this girl who comes from the city, and she also falls in love with him. So, because of my age, because I didn't know what a body was, nor did I know what love was, you see. So I separated mind and body. And I said that this woman who was from the urban area, who was an intellectual, she was the relationship of the mind. And the relationship of the body he had with his wife, you know, I could so easily separate mind and the body. And then it ends with both the wives coming together after his death. And it was called the twilight. He was like the twilight in their lives, and they came together. At that age, in that generation, we were all great idealists. We loved Tagore and Vivekananda and others. And our dream man was a Bengali. And he was revolutionary and he was a poet. And these dreams about Bengali men, they lasted till we really met the Bengali men. Then the dreams went away. We realized that they were no different from the other men we knew. So, by the time this novel was serialized in Kalaimagal, I had left home and I was studying in Chennai. I was studying in Madras Christian College. So when the novel was serialized, one novel, I couldn't read it, you know. And when anybody came to me and said that they liked the novel, I felt very embarrassed because the young men would come and form. And then I continued to write in short stories because I could do a lot of experiments in terms of form where short stories were concerned. And I concentrated on short stories then. But as I told you, I was a Gandhian. I wanted to be a school teacher in a village. And I got a job as a teacher in a small town. But once I joined as a teacher, I realized that it was going to be very difficult to be a Gandhian there because the village school had a lot of problems the way they treated girls, and I objected to that. And I also objected to the way the kind of things the girls were subjected to. So I was thrown out of the school. But I was thrown out of the school, but I didn't want to come back to Bangalore because my father said, you'll never make it in the village, you know. So I came to Chennai and I took up a job as an English tutor in a boys' college. And then I applied to Delhi and I got admission for my PhD and I came to Delhi. While I was in Chennai, this was in 1966, I wrote the story called Wings Get Broken. In Tamil, it is the Shirakkal Muriyam. Until then, I had published a few stories in the popular magazines, although they were stories with very different themes. The style of writing was popular. But this story, during the time in the village, I had not written at all. So when I came back, I wrote the story, Shirakkal. It was actually based on a friend's life. And when she read the story, she told me, how did you get the idea of writing the story? Then I realized that women can go through many things, but they may not understand the experience. So I sent the story to all the magazines. They all returned it and said that it doesn't really suit their magazine. So then I took the story with me to Delhi. From Delhi there was a literary magazine that was being edited by Kasturi Rangan. I sent him the story and I told him that, do you think anything is wrong with this? He came to the hospital and he told me that there is nothing wrong with the story, but you sent it to the wrong magazines. He said that, don't you realize that your style has changed? That's when I realized that when the body moves in different spaces, the language changes. The body carries a language. And that's how my language had changed. I'd gone to the village, I'd experienced the village in certain ways, and there were not obstacles in the village for me. Because they didn't really accept a person like me as a teacher. The students loved me, but the administration didn't like me at all. So I think all that my body carried and experience, that came out in a different kind of language, I think. So then I continued to write. I was in Delhi, and then there were other kinds of difficulties in the literary field, especially when you don't live in Tamil Nadu and you live in Delhi. And many of your themes are Delhi-based themes, you see. So they wanted and often commented that you are not a true Tamilian.
I have a question on that. See, one of your hallmark is, unlike the many other Tamil writers, you have been writing about the situations, the problems and pains of non-Tamil people too. Many of your characters are not Tamilians. One can come across a name like Hida as a character. So your strength is you are a pan-Indian writer. You write about, because there are a lot of Marathis in your short stories, Punjabis are there, and Bengalis are there. And so you write about the whole Indian phenomenon, and not specifically to the Tamil Nadu, Chennai-based, village-based Tamil characters. Do you think that has given you a different identity, no doubt about it? Do you think that you are able to gel with your readers because you are writing about a different situation, different location, and different personalities? Do you think that has helped the readers to gel with your writings?
I don't know about gel with readers, but I certainly didn't gel with other writers, other Tamil writers, I mean, because I know that when I wrote Veetit Mulayil or Jamilari, a kitchen in the corner of the house, it was a story on a Rajasthani family from Ajmer. Not one family, of course, when you do stories, you see so many families and you put them all in one family. It was like that. My husband is from Rajasthan. So when the story came out, there was a very well-known Tamil writer, I don't want to name him, the main writer. And he said that this Ambai is writing about chapati eating people, you know. And why is she writing in Tamil? She should be writing in some other language. No, why is she writing about these chapati eating characters in Tamil? It was as if you write in Tamil, then you can only write about Tamilians. But the thing is that a Tamilian doesn't live in Tamil Nadu all her life. She travels, she meets other people. I've written one story about a Latin American girl, and I've written other stories about Indians who have settled down abroad. So many different kind of stories. And I've even written stories about computers. Does that mean that if I write about computers, I can write only in English? This is ridiculous. But that was accusation because once, and another thing I found, Maalan, you may not agree with me, that Tamilians don't have a sense of humor, you know. And they really don't like women laughing, you know. So once there was a small kind of a meeting which happened in a literary kind of a house, you know. So I had written a play in which I had written about an important man and his wife. And then finally the play ends with saying that it was wrong to say that only a man who can penetrate a woman is a man. A man is he who is able to recognize what the woman needs and how she wants to live. The play goes on like that. So I was trying to break the definition of man and woman, that man has to be manly and his manliness depends on his potency and things like that. And I used the word orgasm in the play, and I used it as orgasm, you know. So in the meeting, one very famous poet, he asked me, why have you used the English word orgasm? You know? So I told him that actually I didn't find the Tamil equivalent. Maybe Tamilians don't have orgasms, I told him. I was only joking, you know. I'm sure there are many words, but I didn't know, so I used the word. So it was a scandal that she had insulted Tamilians. She had said that Tamilians don't have orgasm. It became a big kind of story that went around. And then there was also a lot of, at that time, I faced 10 years of personal scandal. That is, they keep on rumoring about me. And they write it in journals. And they make it a point to send me those journals. So that was a time. But fortunately, there were writers like Indra Pachati and Venkat Swaminathan and Sundaram Swami who encouraged me. Sundaram Swami may not have agreed with everything I wrote because I really criticized one of his novels. But what was nice about him was he could accept criticism, even though he resented it. Our friendship continued. And he never at any time said that you're not my friend because you were critical of my novel. You know. So that
I remember that. You read a paper on JJ's.
yeah, you read it actually.
You wrote it, I read.
Yeah.
I dubbed for you. But you can tell your that writer when you meet him now that Tamilians have started taking chapatis as the dinner in most of the homes, and you must also tell him many women writers who have taken you as an inspiration. They have come a long way from their way of They have gone beyond writing about the organisms and other things. In that context, I would like to ask you, you are not just a writer, you are a researcher, you are also occurring something. Long back, you wrote a book called Face Behind the Mask about the Tamil writers who happen to be women writing in Tamil. If you look at it now, do you see that the writers, the women writing in Tamil has come a long way, or are they still at the stagnated and still at the same place where you had seen?
There are two things here. In the Face Behind the Mask, I had written about the older generation of writers and the younger generation of writers.
And you have earned the wrath of many of your contemporaries.
Yeah, but the thing is that I still respected the older generation of writers because they wrote what they wanted. They never compromised. Just because the journal asked them to change something, they never changed. And when Kumadini wrote Divan Mangal, Anand refused to publish it because there was an intercaste marriage in the thing. Later, it was Manikudi that published it, but she didn't compromise. She didn't say the title right differently. And Goa had certain ideas about women and about other things, you know. But she never wrote a compromising something because it was the style to write that particular thing. She never took up things like that. I respected those old writers. Some of the stories I don't agree with, but I feel that they have the courage to write what they want. So I respect them for that. Some of the later writers were willing to compromise. When it was Diwali, they were willing to write Diwali stories. And for Pongal, they were willing to write Pongal stories, later writers. So I found that these younger writers, in fact, they were more educated and they had a better chance to protest. But they didn't. They agreed to the standard of the popular novels. But even within that, they have done different things like, there was an older writer called Lakshmi, she is no more. She wrote in popular journals, but she was the first one to write about the working woman because she was a doctor herself. And her novels were very well appreciated. She no more. But even now in Tamil Nadu, if I go to smaller towns, because my name is Lakshmi, a lot of people think that I am that Lakshmi. You know, they come and tell you, oh, we like your novels very much, and we like this. They have to tell, no, I'm not that Lakshmi. She is no more, and so she is still appreciated. There was another old writer called Anupama who has written some of the most fantastic stories. And there was a writer called Sahitya Akademi. She was the first person to write about calf love in Tamil. And she wrote it in a traditional magazine like Alamal. She writes a novel where she talks about a young man falling in love with an older person. It's a beautifully written novel. I don't think that any of the younger writers reached that level of writing. And there were older writers who did very differently, like Shruti and all who wrote political novels. So I feel that when there were so many examples of good writers, some of the younger generation writers there, in order to make their stories readable and marketable, they started writing in popular journals. And there are popular journals that also allow senior writers to write the way they want, but I don't think they do that with women writers. So they wrote what the magazine wanted, you know. So that compromise hurt me a lot. That when they had a chance to do, they could do differently. I thought.
But what do you think of young writers who happen to be women and writing on women issues? There are a lot of them now, and what do you think of them? They have emerged from the past, and they have taken you as a model, and then they are writing it, or do you think they are still in the same mode that seniors were there?
Yeah, first of all, I object to the term women's issues because I think that these are issues of everybody. They don't belong only to women. These are women's issues. I know that there was a political group they formed in one of the tribal area in Maharashtra. It was called Kashtakati. And then the women marched on the road fighting for land rights and everything. But the tribe had the problem of domestic violence and alcoholism and witch hunting. So when the women raised these issues, the men said that women's group you can deal with it. There is nothing to do. They are not urban women. They said, we are going to be with you. We walk with you for the land rights. So you better fight for us for domestic violence and alcoholism. It's not that we will only come with you for everything and we will form a separate wing because of the issues. The issues involve men. So how can we have a separate wing? So when you say that women started writing about women's issues, I will just change it a little bit like this. I will say that women started writing about things that hitherto were not handled by women only. So many women started writing that. But at some point what happens is that also becomes like a template. That if you're a woman writer, you will write about domestic violence and something else. So you become typecast in the way you write. But I feel that some of the stories that women have written, not about women's issues, but about women-men relationships, like Sue Kamichelli and others, I think they're fantastic writers. And Mori is a very young writer. She has taken up the same themes, She writes about a mother who leaves the family when this child is only 12. And it is Mori's own life. A mother is telling this girl, now you take care of your father, because I can't stay with him anymore. And how this little girl dealt with it. It's a beautiful story. You can't call it a women's issue. It's a family issue. But it's about how a girl thinks, And I feel many have written about themes and ideas which are not spoken about. So the women have started writing that. But the trouble is that there is a certain thing where they feel that this is where they should stop. And beyond this, if they go, they may not be recognized. But there are writers who have gone beyond also, like Alai and others. So I feel things are changing. And they are changing for the better, I think. Because I like some of the younger writers very much.
And one of the criticism on you is your earlier stories, particularly those you write about the campus, had a sting or a tongue-in-cheek ridicule. The tone of the story is either there was a sting there or there was a tongue-in-cheek ridicule in the story. But now it seems you have given it up, or you have mellowed, or you are experimenting.
What is it, the campus stories?
JNU, university-based campus stories like Trisan, and even in Siragalmudi, your outwardly critical about the things around you. And your writing, your language was little more stronger than what you write now.
Not really. I think that the language keeps changing according to the themes you take up. When I wrote a story like Chakaranatani, when I was very critical of some of my Marxist friends in jail, because at that time in jail, whenever you went and told them that you had some problem in the bus and somebody was trying to misbehave with you, at that time, in the 70s, those people used to tell us, when the replication comes, everything will be okay. I said, I can't have somebody maul me till the revolution comes, you see. You better do something now. So we used to have lots of differences with them. Also, it so happened at that time that many of the Marxists were in the campus at the time, they all came from very rich families. They were all well-to-do people, but they were all torn kurtas and they smoked weedies, and that didn't make them leftists in my viewpoint. So some of us were very critical of them. So some of the stories were very critical, and I'm still critical of those friends. And another story which I wrote many years later was Karupathurai, where I spoke about how within feminist groups there are differences, you know. And I feel that I wrote that Karupathurai in a totally different kind of a language. So I don't think one can talk about a strong or mild language. I feel that language changes according to the themes you pick up, you know. When you speak about differences within feminist groups, and you are within those groups, you are in the movement, there is also a lot of agony you feel that why are we so different? Why are we not able to work together and take up one cause? Each one is saying something and they're not agreeing with it. There is no unity. Of course, at the time, there is no realization that there are many feminisms. There is not just one feminism. That's why we call it global feminisms. I don't even agree with some of the French and American feminists, you see. So I feel that there are many different kinds of feminisms, and we have to acknowledge that. Just as there are many different kinds of Marxists. So I feel one has to acknowledge that. And when you write that, then there is a lot of it in which you are part. So the language will be different. I feel the language changes according to the themes you pick up. And one can't look at it in terms of strong or weak. You cannot say that thing you were very angry, now you are not. I know that when I wrote the Surian story, one of the writers, I forget his name now, I remembered it for a long time. He wrote that the Surian story also had a lot of pathos, you know, of a big nation fighting with a small nation. And the story came out because someone from Vietnam had come to JNU. And he gave a talk. And Vietnamese are very emotional people. He was a politician. He said that some of our families have lived only underground. And the children don't know what the sun is, he said. And he broke down and started crying. It affected me deeply, you know. So that the Surian story came out of that, you know. So this writer wrote that in the sun. Because the story ends with the child asking the mother, what is that, you know. It's looking at the sun and saying, what is that? The story ends. So he said it's full of pathos and it was no anger. So I think the writer cannot fulfill what the reader is expecting all the time. You can't say that I want anger from you for this. I think you're right the way you feel about certain things.
And why I ask this question is, it's that now you have talked about the families. Your prize-winning story is award-winning, the title story of the award-winning book, Sivapukal Pachiparai. It is based on a family.
You mean the story?
Story
Yeah.
itself is based on the family. And since the father, he may be an adopted father, but the father is not able to bear with the pain of his child not speaking, he rushes to Himalayas, seeking solitude. So the sympathy is more on the father rather than on the mother and the child who go in search of them. Is it intentional or it so happened?
That story is from my own experience of working with blind children. When I was an MA, I used to go and read for blind children. There was a blind school in Chennai. So the weekends I used to spend and go and reading for them because they had to type all the textbooks in Braille. So somebody has to read it out. So I used to go and read it out. So in that blind school, there were also deaf and mute children. So I have a mood with deaf and mute children, and I know about their families. And I know one particular family closely which adopted a child which turned out to be deaf. And the person to be most shattered was the father, because he couldn't believe that his child could be deaf initially. Then, his family could not get angry with him because he was a nice father, but he could not take this and he could not deal with the situation. And every time he would say, I would go away. He didn't go away. In the story, he goes away. And I feel that when a person decides to leave a certain situation and go away because he can't deal with it, that has to be accepted. I don't believe that one can either criticize him or one can say that he has been very cruel to his child. In a strange way, it is the love for his child that sends him away. He is not able to take his child not being able to talk normally, because deaf children can't talk properly. And it was also mixed up with another situation where the brother of a friend of mine, he just left home and went away, and they were searching and searching for him. And at one point my friend thought, why am I searching for him? He has gone away because he doesn't want to be in this situation. Is it right to drag him back to this situation? So he gave up the search and he let him be. Then the person came back, that's a different matter. So I think that it's not a question of sympathy for the man, but understanding what he is also going through. And it's my firm conviction that in very tough situations, the women are able to handle it much better than men. Men are not able to handle very tough situations in the family, but women are able to handle it. I've seen where when the wife dies, the man is not able to cope with it. But when the husband dies, the woman can cope with it. Like my father died in 1981 when my mother was 65 or 66. Everybody thought my mother would collapse because My father was greatly dependent on my mother. He died of cancer, and my mother nursed him. And every day she would pray that he should die. So I asked her, why are you praying that he should die? So she said that he can't take pain. And I think it's better he dies before he suffers too much. And I don't mind being a widow, but I don't want him to suffer, she said, So my father passed away. Then everybody said, what would mother do, My mother chopped out her life for herself. And she died when she was 92, when she was still active. And at the age of 90, she was a musician, my mother, she could sing very well. She said that there was a Sanskrit teacher who had moved into the building, She said, I'm going to learn Sanskrit. So my elder brother said, you're 90 years old. What will you do with Sanskrit now? So my mother said, what does anybody does with the language? One learns because one enjoys it. So she joined the Sanskrit class. Evening she'll come and do the homework. Sanskrit homework she would do. And a year after my father died, I was in Chennai. And I met this student of one famous legendary Veena player called Veena Dhanamman. And I told my mother is a Veena player, that I met this Dhanamman's student, she is also an old lady. So my mother said the way Dhanamman played a part of a music called Maalan. We say in Hindustani music. That is very famous and I want to learn it. I said, okay, you come over. And I asked that lady, she said she'll teach my mother. My mother stayed with me for 6 months. I was doing research for this space behind the mask. And she mastered it. She mastered that and then she went back to Bombay. Everybody thought she was mad that her husband had just died. And this woman wants to learn Veena, But my mother didn't mind it. But throughout life there are criticisms. Because when my father died, my mother decided that she will wear this 9-yard sari for 1 year, Because it was a way of atoning for some things my father liked, We didn't want her to wear 9 yards, but she started wearing 9 yards. So when she came to live with me in Chennai, she was wearing a 9-yard sari. Chennai was very hot. So my mother had a very sensitive skin. So she said, I'm not able to wear these 9-yard saris. So I went and bought 2 6-yard saris. And I told her, you wear 6-yard saris. She said, what will the neighborhood people say, that I came in 9 yards and I'm wearing. I said, are you really worried about what people will say, She said, okay. She wore a 9-yard sari. But it was the top of that area in Adela. And this 9-yard sari woman is suddenly wearing 6 yards, But my mother didn't mind it at all. She said, let them talk. Even if I don't wear it, they'll say something else, So she was capable of taking those decisions. And when my father died, I told my brother that you will tell me that women are not allowed to the crematorium and all, but I'm going to come. So he said, you do whatever you want. So in Bombay, they don't take the dead bodies on the sun. They have a hearse that comes and they put the body there and they take straight to the crematorium. So I went and sat next to my father's body. After 5 minutes, I turned, my mother was sitting next to me. So I said, what are you doing here, Amma? She said, I'm coming to the crematorium. So the Pandits got a little worried and they said that according to Shastras, women can't go to the. She told them in a very soft and nice voice, you tell me which Shastras say that. You quote the Shastras, and then I see what you. Actually, Shastras don't say it at all. It's been a practice. There is no Shastra that says that women can't go. And if a particular Shastra says it has not been in practice, So, they said that normally it is not done and all. She says, I do it. So she came to the crematorium, and as my brother lit the fire, my mother sang a song that my father likes very much. None of this is done in any other families, but my mother didn't say I am a feminist, so I'm going to break rules. But all that she did was really feminism, So I feel that when you want to break something, and you want to break it because you believe in it deeply, it is feminism. Like there was a Maharashtrian lady, an old lady. So her family ranked up. I run a women's archives. So they ranked up and said that this lady walked during the Second World War from Burma to India, and she wants to register that, she wants to document it. Will you come and interview her? So we said, okay. So we went and talked to her. So some of my feminist friends asked me, what is so feminist about walking from Burma to India? I mean, so many people walk. So what is so feminist about it? So I told them that walking from Burma to India may not be feminist, but wanting to document it, that's feminist. Because a feminist wants to document her life. She wants to tell you what her journey is. That is feminism. For me, that is feminism. So that's why I feel that there are many kinds of feminisms, and there are women who don't even call themselves feminists or feminists, I feel.
Now that you have talked about Sparrow, this is the last question. Krishna is looking at us.
Last question.
You have named your organization as Sparrow, and now this Sevapukkaitudan Pacheppara, right? And then your first work was Sriharindu. Are you very fond of birds, or is there any Salim Ali in you?
No, I'm fond of birds, but I feel that the birds have always symbolized a kind of freedom, that birds can fly and they have wings, and in fact, one story I am writing is called Those Who Fly White Pigeons, these political leaders, they fly with the white pigeons. The story is about that. But, so again, you may say, why writing about a bird? I feel that in my childhood and my growing years, I was surrounded by birds. In my husband's house in Ajmer, on the terrace, peacocks used to come and sit. And in Guindy, where I was in the hostel, all kinds of birds and deers used to come from the deer park, And even now, even though we live in a flat, and it's an apartment house, it has huge banyan trees where different kinds of birds come. Even this bird I've written about, that bird comes and sits on the banyan trees, and long-tailed parrots, and so many birds come there. Because we live very close to the mud island, where there are a lot of we live close to the sea, so all the migrating birds sometimes find their way. Yes, so I am fond of birds.
Thank you. Particularly thank you for speaking about your mother. Now we understand for your best spirits from where you got your genes. Like her, you live long and let me honor with many more awards. And thanks for the Academy, and thanks for all the friends who have listened to this.
Thanks. Thank you so much.